Okay, so good morning, everyone. Thanks for inviting me to present the activities of Eurocom and OpenAirInterface within ETSI and within the SNS project. So I'm Jerome Haerri. I'm, as mentioned, professor at Eurocom and also a member of the board of OpenAirInterface Software Alliance. Before we start, I just wanted to give you a brief word for those who do not know Eurocom. So Eurocom is engineering school and graduate school and research center in Sophia Antipolis. We have a dual DNA, one striving for research in academic innovations, but also keeping an industry requirement in mind. That is also what led to the creations of the OpenInterface platform, as Eurocom being a pioneer in open source codes since 1999, even before. So it all started in 1999 with the first project called Platform Telecom in French, cooperation with Orange, France Telecom at the time. Then a couple of years later, to 2005, we had the first involvement of open source code in European projects and French project. A couple of years later, in 2008, there was the first realignments of OpenInterface software codes with the standards, and this is something that will come later in the presentation. So already back in the days, it was important to be compliant with open standards. In 2012, we had the first interrupt. So this is again a keyword, interoperability. So we had our first interoperability with 4G systems and COS UEs. And then in 2014 came something beautiful. We basically created the OpenInterface Software Alliance to reinforce the development of the platform, of OpenInterface platform, beyond only Eurocom. In 2017, we created the OpenInterface software license, which is also something important. We'll come back later. And after that, we got involved in a lot of different projects, European projects, but also in 2020, we got our first interrupt with 5G NSA, 2021 interrupt with SA, and in 2021 interoperability with ORAN. So this just shows the evolutions of OpenInterface, and until more or less now, and now I'm going to shed some lights of where we are going beyond that. So OpenInterface Software Alliance has been created in 2014 with the objective to maintain and extend the OpenInterface Software Alliance that was initially developed by Eurocom, because we realized that at the end it's important. Creating software codes, open source codes, needs a strong team to develop and maintain the code and become a reference implementation for 3GPP. So the relationship with 3GPP was also there to be able to have one reference implementation of 3GPP codes that could be open source. And we had the OpenInterface Software Alliance has partnerships, and these partners provide assistance and collaborations to develop OpenInterface. In particular, financial donations, and the way the OSA is using donations is first of all to have an engineering support team to be able to have a continuous CDCI, to have a community management and building of the community systems, but also to keep industry relationships and help in project management. OSA, also OpenInterface Software Alliance, provides software code solutions for all three parts of the 3GPP software architecture and all of 4G, 5G, and 6G network. We have the core network and the control plane of the RAN on one side. We have the radio and the edge architecture on the other side. And we also have the controller and the management system of a 4G, 5G, or 6G network. And you can see, when you see all the different modules here, this is where we also have the interest of interoperability, because the idea is we can provide all the components, but we also would like that we don't need all the components, that you can also take one part of OpenInterface and test your own system. You could try to test your core network with a potential radio and edge system from OpenInterface. So interoperability through standardizations, through standards and through GPP compliancy, ORAN and others are extremely important in OpenInterface. One thing that is not in that diagram It's something that was initially not developed as much as we wanted, and that is getting increasing importance nowadays, is the UE. We also now have a part of UE development that is important for project when OSA is involved, or no point, actually EURECOM is involved for OSA, typically TSN, time sensitive networks, and vehicular systems. When we have software codes, it's important to see that we can trust the software codes. And one step to trust the software codes is through the community using it. And we can see that the OpenAir Software Alliance has 16 strategic members, and quite big ones. And I don't want to specifically name some, so not to avoid others. But we can see they're really they're contributing and using our code in many ways. But we also have more than 82 associate members that are using the software base in their developments, in their product. So you can have the full list on our website. Trusting open source codes also comes from the license we use. If it's open source, we have a license, and it's important to have a license that is industry friendly. We don't want to frighten industry by having contaminating licenses, for example. So the OpenAirInterface from the very beginning had a very industry-friendly license, an evolution of Apache 2.0 license that was also modified to provide, to have a clause for contributing parties to have patents they can provide under friend terms, which is something that convinced many industrial partners to be able to join the OSA. Trusting software codes also come from having a very continuous CDCI system. It's not only developing codes and then hoping it works. The OSA has a team of very hardworking people that are continuously integrating, testing the code to be sure that they are compliant with the different standards, and they are at the same time beautiful, correct, functional, and tested. So you get code that you can trust, and that is also very important in that case. Now, finalizing my presentations, I would just give some sheds of lights to highlight the few aspects that happened for OSA in 2024 and 2025. So OpenAirInterface, OAI, and Bubble Run had a booth in Mobile World Congress 2023, 2024, and will be also in 2025. So please join us and come visit us at our booth at the next World Congress. We also now are co-chair of All-Run Open Source Focus Group. And two very important things happened in 2024. First of all, we had an alignment with the LFN, Linux Foundation's networking, with OpenAirInterface. So we had a memorandum of understanding signed in 2024. And another thing that was even more interesting, we created a non-profit subsidiary in the US. The objective was to extend the capabilities of OpenAirInterface Software Alliance to attract project, but also industry interest beyond Europe. So in the US in particular, so attracting fundings for Open Run. Of course, there was a strong link with LFN in that case, but also getting funding opportunities, and finally educating the US ecosystem on open platforms and Open Run and the typical interoperability we can get with radio units that they could have and the software code that we have. Few information about the roadmap for 2025. So, I wrote a lot of different things, but if you want to keep some words, so some concepts. So the first important thing for 2025 is interoperability. We will strive to be able to have more interoperability capabilities in different functions, ORAN, ORUs, FR2, side links. I was mentioning a bit of the UE, so there's something else. The FAPI, and of course hardware accelerators, so the GPUs that we're going to gradually increase. Second key part is emulation. We also would like to regenerate a bit the real-time emulation capabilities, so you can also use OpenAirInterface without specifically using radio heads. You can emulate them with the same software code. This is also important. And increasing support in Europe and in the US. So that's part of the part. And finally, strategic alignments with the different features, the different stakeholders. So we have ORAN, OCloud, and the project as well, in particular the large-scale project that's OpenInterface is involved, /RI, /SC, and so on and so forth. Of course, 6G is part of the deal. So currently, within OpenInterface, 6G is being studied from the architecture perspective, from the policy making, and also within various research projects that I just wanted to show here, where OSA, Open-Interface Software Alliance, is in SNS, and not only SNS, but we can see that we are part of the large-scale infrastructure slices SC and slices RI. You can see the different partners in slices. Down next to Marseille, this is us, this is Sophia Antipolis. Then we also had a lot of SNS projects, and I only listed some of them, but imagine beyond 5G, 6G bricks, you got some demos just before the talks, 6G Gold, 6G Brains, and 6G, Robust 6G, 6G Intense. Other projects, Slices RI and Converge, also based on OpenInterface. But projects are not only OpenInterface and not only Eurocom part, but we also have the industry using OpenInterface, or let's say startups like BubbleRun, Albismart, FireSales. They're also using OpenInterface, and they're using them inside SNS project. Just two examples: 6G Sense, 6G Clouds, and I certainly forgot most of them. So just illustrations that OpenInterface Software Alliance and the open source code that we develop can be not only used by industry, but also used in project, small scale, large scale project, beyond only what Eurocom develop, but also as OpenInterface. And concluding here, sometimes we also have some questions about what is the impact of OpenInterface Software Alliance for the partners. So for the members, most of them are using it for internal proof of concept and interrupt tests on ORAN, FAPI, and so on and so forth. But we also, as I was mentioning, we also have OSA-related startups. BubbleRun, Albismart, FireSales, just to name a few. For them, they have a business model developing private 5G solutions or cloud-native management solutions. As another example is R&D and education packaging. So typically, if we want to be able to develop 5G systems, and we don't want to have to worry about all the details about how to configure OpenInterface hardware, then this is how they can use OpenInterface Software Alliance in their business. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for listening. And I was a bit shorter than expected, so we have more time for questions. Thank you.